y las dos terminaron con decenas de miles de armas en sus arsenales nucleares.
No podemos detener el progreso y nos piden que lo hagamos. Me aterra pensar que ese progreso siga su curso y que suceda en un país menos comprometido con la paz que nosotros.
Oppenheimer, en cambio, no consideraba que la carrera armamentística representara el progreso. Su oposición al proyecto de bomba de hidrógeno de Edward Teller y las dudas que plantearon sus simpatías por el comunismo desembocaron en la anulación de su autorización de seguridad durante una vista organizada por el gobierno que se celebró en 1954.
Nunca debió testificar contra Oppenheimer. Creo que todo el proceso contra él fue un terrible error por parte del gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Cuando lo supe me disgusté mucho. Imagino que lo mismo le sucedió a otros científicos. Y creo que cualquier científico que respaldara el proceso tomó una decisión equivocada en mayor o menor medida.
Así terminó la carrera de Oppenheimer. Pero el debate sobre su contribución y la del proyecto Manhattan a la historia no había hecho más que empezar.
Si dibujamos un gráfico de las muertes humanas durante los conflictos bélicos de los últimos 200 años, observaremos un aumento exponencial hasta 1945, momento en el cual la línea cae a 1 millón al año y permanece en esos niveles el resto del siglo. Es evidente que 1945 marcó un antes y un después en las relaciones internacionales. Y creo que se debió al descubrimiento que realizaron estos científicos. Ellos, trabajando en paz en sus laboratorios, trataban de entender cómo funciona el mundo realmente y no cómo nos gustaría que funcionara.
El legado del proyecto Manhattan. El hecho de que la bomba atómica creada bajo la presión de una guerra por los más brillantes científicos del último siglo se considere paradójicamente un elemento decisivo para alcanzar la paz o simplemente una salvaje arma de destrucción sigue suscitando opiniones tan diametralmente opuestas hoy como hace 50 años. Sin embargo, para algunos este debate no es ni mucho menos abstracto. El legado del 6 de agosto de 1945 tiene implicaciones demasiado personales.
Todos los años, esa fecha, a las 8:15 de la mañana, ofrezco unas plegarias. A veces incluso se me saltan las lágrimas, pues lo revivo todo. Evidentemente no puedo olvidar a todas las personas que fueron asesinadas en aquel momento.
Pero quizás el efecto más persistente del proyecto Manhattan haya sido este.
No recuerdo otro acontecimiento que influyera de forma tan decisiva en la sociedad estadounidense y en todas las sociedades. Por primera vez se enfrentaron a la aniquilación absoluta, total e instantánea. Aquello destruyó por completo la sensación de seguridad y de confianza en la sociedad estadounidense, algo que hasta el momento no había logrado ningún otro acontecimiento de nuestra historia.
The military needed to control who or what flew into our airspace. Radar was the newest technology for detecting anything in our skies that was not acknowledged to be our aircraft. The Battle of LA was an example of an unknown aircraft that was immune to all that our anti-aircraft guns could deliver. Nothing could bring this one object down. What was our military going to do to control this unknown threat? What would happen if the public found out these things were real and there was nothing we could do to stop them? The only solution was to deny that there was any kind of threat from something we had no control over, something we could not stop. The solution included an official denial that would last over 60 years. The Air Force and the CIA hired and commissioned the top astronomers, scientists, and experts of those times to become the authorities on the subject of UFOs. These experts appeared on national radio and television and gave the naive, gullible, and patriotic public the myth about UFOs. Astronomer Thornton Page was on a CIA committee that investigated UFO reports in 1952. Its conclusion? No evidence of UFOs. Even highly regarded astronomer Carl Sagan was placed by the Air Force as a consultant on a scientific panel to deny the existence of UFOs. The official Air Force reply was that there was no cover-up, and there were no flying saucers from outer space.
I would like to close by reading a very brief excerpt from the report of the Air Force's Scientific Advisory Board, which they made recently upon completing a detailed review of the subject of UFO. This is a statement. The committee concluded that in the 19 years since the first UFO was sighted, there has been no evidence that unidentified flying objects are a threat to our national security.
This was to become the greatest story ever denied.
Like many other people in Los Angeles, my brother and I were devastated by the Northridge earthquake. I was awake that morning making final edit decisions on a film that we had been working on for the past year. Our film and video editing studio was destroyed, so we had to finish cutting the film at one of the labs in Burbank. We didn't realize that the earthquake was only the beginning of what would become one of the many life-changing events that were about to unfold. We decided to go home and visit our family for a while before coming back and starting all over again. We went back to Roswell, New Mexico, which is our hometown, and a couple of months later we filmed the first broad daylight footage ever taken of UFOs over the Roswell area. We compiled an enormous archive of broad daylight UFO activity at Midway, which is where we all grew up, and which is located just 9 miles south of Roswell. Midway is also the place where the rods phenomenon was discovered.
A mysterious object has been caught on tape over Albany, New York.
It looks suspiciously like a missile. Is that possible?
Yeah, and that's pretty scary over a commercial airport, but I don't know, whatever it is, it was going very fast, it was above the clouds, and it was hundreds of feet in length.
So the FBI has seen this tape?
Yeah, they took it from me, and it's on its way to Washington to be analyzed.
Now, what do you think it is? I mean, just looking at it, are you calling it a UFO, or are you calling it a missile? What does it look like to you?
A lot of people are saying that it's this thing called a rod, which I'm not sure about. These biological creatures that live in the upper atmosphere, which sounds strange, that we haven't discovered yet because they just move too fast for us to see.
It doesn't. So somebody's telling you that thing is an owl.
Yeah. This guy Jose Escamilla, he's been researching these for like 8 years. He has a website, and that's what he thinks.
It's amazing. No telling what these things are going to teach us once we catch a specimen and investigate what its makeup is. It's an incredible phenomenon. Whatever these things are, they've mastered the ability to travel through both mediums as if there's nothing really there. It's like traveling through dimensions.
The rods are just one part of an enormous panorama of life that is veiled from normal human sight. You found that by using an extremely fast shutter, you could slow down and objectify something that would otherwise elude the photographic process. But that doesn't mean that they're not there. It just means that you need a device, an apparatus that will remove an optical limitation that you have. We don't reject the microscope because the microscope intensifies the power of human sight. Without it, the world of the microbe would not exist. But that wouldn't alter the fact that our entire environment, our entire living scenario, is really conditioned upon what happens in a domain that we cannot see directly. In my opinion, the same thing applies, and this will be verified in years to come, at the upper border of nature.
But I realized at this point that it's very secret, that it was kept secret, because I asked him, what are you going to do with this piece of information? And he said, we always airbrush these out before we sell them to the public. So they're pesky little creatures appearing on this photograph they wanted to get rid of.
This is a fact of the matter. We were really not sure after John flew whether or not there were critters, living critters out there somewhere. Critters that were captured by NASA on that mission, the STS-75, in 1996. In all my considerable experience of the entire UFO scenario, I have never seen and never expected to see footage like that. And least of all did I expect to see it on film or tape that had been exposed by the government in a NASA mission. The shuttle Columbia in this mission was equipped with a very sophisticated and expensive ultraviolet camera. It was sensitive to the near ultraviolet. And when they were up at 300 miles above the atmosphere, they launched from the Columbia a small satellite with a tether. Not long after it was launched from the Columbia, the tether broke.
We'll record steadily the whole break and coil back to the tether.
Copy, Claude.
Here we go.
Give this a view of the satellite.
Well, if it had to break, it did it in the right place.
And you see on this astonishing film, you see the satellite go drifting far astern of this orbiting Columbia. The tether, which is 12 miles long, straightens out into a long white line, which you can see as plainly as could be.
Columbia and the satellite now 77 nautical miles apart.
Now, while this is all going on, a whole covey of UFOs, perhaps 36 of them, manifest to this ultraviolet camera, and they begin moving around and circulating, looking for all the world like something in an aquarium tank.
The satellite, again, just moving into sunrise.
Now, Houston, of course, down on the ground, is getting this feed from the Columbia, and they ask the astronauts in the shuttle, what can they see? What is it they can see?
You guys getting the image?
Franklin, we see a long line, a couple of star-like things, and a lot of things swimming in the foreground. Can you describe what you're seeing?
Well, the long line is a tether, and there's a little bit of debris that kind of flies with us.
It is like a brilliant white bar. It looks like a neon sign, and it's 12 miles long. Now, what this does is give you a sort of cosmic ruler by which you can get an idea and an estimate of the diameter of the UFOs that are flitting around down there. Now, when you see them go behind the tether, that means that you can use that tether like a ruler to measure their diameter. And those things that are down there going behind the tether are between 2 and 3 nautical miles in diameter. One of the things you see over and over again is you see UFOs materialize into the ultraviolet while you watch. You see them come from out of nowhere to the point where they are returning a response to the camera. You also see them dematerialize while you have them under observation. There's 2 of the central things that have gone on with UFOs since day one: materialization and dematerialization. It's going on in this film, 300 miles above the Earth, photographed by your government with your astronauts superintending the whole thing.
Completely unzoomed, and you see the full extent of the tether.